tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Welcome, Fit Clubbers. We are back. On today's Fit Club, we talk fact-checking coronavirus, antigen tests, and more with Fox 11's Elex Michaelson. I'm your host, SHAKA Smith, joined by my lovely co-host, Fallon Mercedes from A&E's Fit to Fat to Fit. How are you doing, Fallon?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just, coping, rolling with the punches back here on Zoom. That's where we're living life these days.
I know. Here in Atlanta, businesses have opened and the gym opened, and I am so tempted. I so want to get back in there, but I just personally, I'm not sure if I'm ready just yet.
Yeah. I mean, are you nervous? Is there like a feeling of jubilation, or what's the feeling around town?
I think everybody is just kind of wondering, like, okay, if we do go out, I mean, people are going to the market to get essential things, but are you willing to put yourself more at risk? In the gym, you're sweating, you're huffing and puffing. I personally don't know how often they clean the gym. If I do go, I'll probably go at hours that people aren't there because it's a 24-hour gym. I'll make sure I wear gloves, even a mask.
Yeah.
So that's I think how we're all kind of taking it. The US is looking at us as the guinea pigs, going out into the world.
Yeah.
So I'm trying, I think we're trying to protect ourselves and be cautious as we do get out there.
Yeah, we've got to be smart. But of course, we'd like to do a little update. We've passed 3 million worldwide cases, over 210,000 deaths worldwide. And I believe in the United States, we've hit over 56,000 cases, 56,000 deaths in the United States. So not great news, but we're still trying to flatten the curve in different areas.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we have Elex Michaelson on with us today, and he's really been digging deep into the coronavirus fact checking and with our different policy experts. So we'll find out a lot from him today too.
Yeah,
So,
I'm excited. I'm excited he's been with Dr. Drew, the governor, every hour. He's like with another prominent person digging in. So I'm excited. I have a bunch of burning questions, and I think you probably do too.
Yeah, and he's also a political junkie, so he's got also a political show. And of course, this is sort of the perfect storm where politics meets science meets medicine, and we're trying to figure out the correct policy prescriptions for moving forward. So we've got a lot to talk about with him. Hopefully, we can get him in soon. But yeah, we're going to really doing a lot of fact checking of Corona. I know. Oh, here we go. I know the administration.
Mhm.
Hey, Alex, here you are.
Hey.
What's up?
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming in. And then, how are you dealing with the whole coronavirus personally on a personal level?
Thank you for asking. Now, a lot of people don't ask that. I think it's hard. It's pretty overwhelming. The thing about doing the news business is you can't really change the channel.
Yeah.
I'm working all day, and I'm in this mode of coronavirus coverage for like 16, 17 hours in a row.
Yeah.
So I found it to be very therapeutic on the weekends to try to give myself one day to like veg and watch Netflix. It's like really nice. And a lot of people have done that. Like people could turn on Tiger King. Like for me during the week, I can't really do that. And you sort of absorb a lot of people's suffering and a lot of people's anxiety. There's so many questions. There's so much misinformation out there. And we really do feel a responsibility to try to clear some of that up and to try to let people know at least the facts. People feel like, I think people can be trusted with the correct information, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot. Our first story talked about fact checking the coronavirus. I think we had a lot of, whether the administration was giving us the correct facts, whether the media was giving us the correct facts. How, as a broadcaster, have you navigated that? Are you able to differentiate what you report on and say maybe it's not time to make that a newsworthy subject yet, or is it now to let the public know that we should be worried, take precautions?
I mean, I think you try to talk to as many people as you trust as you can. You try to read a lot of different things. I mean, this is where there is some value in some of the traditional old school media types. I mean, they get a lot of hate on them, but something like the New York Times, they go through a vigorous vetting process with a lot of editors looking at something, and they have a lot at stake if they ever get something wrong, versus you look at some of the like blogs online or random Twitter accounts with a crazy avatar and a name that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and you're like,
maybe it's not time to
Incredible.
trust, Bot Daddy 103, like maybe it's time to go towards some of the people that really do this stuff for a living, and also looking at some of the public health data. A lot of the data is public. You can look at some of that stuff yourself. And one of the great privileges, I think, in my line of work is having an opportunity every day to try to press some of these public officials for answers and to sort of delve through. And if you press enough, I think you start seeing a picture of what the world is going to look like if you piece kind of what everybody is saying. In fact, right now, Shaka, there is reason for a little bit of hope. I think what's hard for a lot of people is they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But I can see, I can see a little bit of light. There's a little light. Okay.
You just got off the governor's call, right?
Yeah. So here's probably what the world is going to look like in California and probably in most of the country over the next few weeks. Mm-hmm. So what we're looking at in the next few weeks is a reopening of a lot of businesses that can reopen with social distancing. So maybe a retail business. Not everybody's going to be allowed in the store at the same time, or there's going to be a lot more curbside pickup or other things, but you can get employees back in work, back to their jobs. Offices. Maybe people can start going back to the office. Maybe not everybody at the same time. Maybe some group works on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Another group works on Tuesday, Thursday to try to change it up. But at least you can get back to the office, get back doing some of your work. Mm-hmm. That's probably going to be the first phase of what happens. And that's probably going to be happening in the next few weeks. A few months from now, we're looking at gyms and salons.
A few months.
A little bit more, a few months.
Shaka's face. He's like, no.
Because, that is a little bit higher risk. It's pretty hard to go to a gym. The nature of what a gym is, with a bunch of random people sweating all over the place, using similar equipment. I mean, that is like a breeding ground for coronavirus. Yeah. My question, and I will try to get answers to this, okay, what about maybe a smaller gym, private gyms? What about if you only have a certain number of people in a gym? What about group fitness classes with social distancing? Like, is there a way to maybe think about this in a more sophisticated way and not treat every gym experience like it's a gross 24-hour fitness?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's some great 24-hour fitnesses, and some of them are need a little sanitation now.
Yeah.
So,
Alex,
and then concerts come later. The last thing is concerts, Coachella. I don't think we're going to be having Coachella this year.
Not even in October.
Sports games. I think we are going to be seeing sports games without fans soon. In the next couple months, we're going to see sports games without fans, but sports games with fans probably not happening in the next few months.
Yeah, and go ahead, Fallon, do you have something?
Yeah, I was saying earlier before you got on, I'm in Georgia. So the gyms have opened already. And I was explaining to Shaka, my hesitation was kind of what you said, the sweating, the breathing, the kind of the cleanliness of the gyms. But there are some gyms here, one in particular. Say that again.
How's it working? Like, what's it look like? Are they back open like normal?
So they're back open like normal. One of them specifically, you have to get your temperature read. They have one of the guns, and they're reading people's temperature before they let them in. They moved all the equipment 6 feet apart, so you can work out 6 feet apart. People are going behind them, cleaning the equipment. Some people are wearing masks. So kind of like what you were saying, there are preventative measures to try to keep them as clean as possible.
So are you going? Do you feel comfortable going?
I'm not comfortable yet. However, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not there yet. I do go to a smaller gym, and it's open 24 hours a day. So if I do go, I think I would probably go, hours that other people aren't really there. And I would definitely take precautions, wear gloves, wipe down everything.
A lot of people are asymptomatic, and I imagine by the time you're running a fever, you're not feeling like you're going to the gym. So I wonder if the temperature gun is even
worth it,
effective at all. Have they discussed the temperature gun, Alex, as one of the methods? I haven't seen that out in California yet. Is that one of the methods they might be
There's
using?
some places that are using that now, and that's like I went to a dermatologist appointment the other day. They took the temperature gun. I mean, that is, there are people that are asymptomatic, but there is some value in the temperature gun, though. It does give you a sense of where things are at. That seems like, talking to a lot of different doctors, like a reasonable sort of precaution that doesn't cost that much and can be helpful. So I actually feel better knowing that a place I'm going in has the temperature gun. And it may just be something that you kind of get used to, just like you maybe get used to a metal detector at an airport. It may be sort of a process that we start getting used to. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that are just going to be different now than before, and it's going to be kind of our new normal probably for a while.
Yeah.
The mayor of Los Angeles yesterday said to me, Alex, on May 15th, which is the date they're hoping to reopen some stuff, it's not like everybody's all of a sudden going to be doing big group hugs. Like the world is going to look different. A lot of the face covering stuff is going to stay. A lot of the social distancing, the no handshakes. I mean, there's going to be changes in our daily lives that are going to last for a while, even if this, complete stay-at-home thing starts to ease up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm interested. How many people in Georgia do you feel are around you are going back? How many people are hesitant about it? How is that going? Because Georgia is sort of the laboratory for the rest of the country. You guys are the guinea pig for the rest of us.
We are. Well, I went on a walk at the park with my husband. We went to Piedmont Park, and that's a huge, prominent park here in Atlanta. And there was tons of people. And then we stopped and we got a shake from one of the juices. And we had to wait outside the door for, like you said, only 6 people at a time could be in the business. And then, you can see everybody with their masks on, scared to touch the door, away from the counter as they're grabbing their steak. The workers, they're wearing gloves, masks.
I don't think Georgia was over the curve, though. I don't think Georgia had started to flatten the curve yet. I don't even know if they even hit the peak when they. So that's the scary part.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the mayor, she's advising people not to go out, even though the governor is.
Yeah, so we've had the modelers from the University of Washington, which is like the main model that's used often by President Trump and a lot of these governors in terms of determining where things are at. And they did say that Georgia has not hit its peak, has not met any of the criteria that they're looking at for doing this. So they're basically doing this against the advice of almost all of the doctors, against the advice of the modelers, against the advice of the White House, even President Trump saying that it's not a smart thing to do, even though President Trump, of course, has such an incentive to back up Republican governors and to get the businesses back open. Even he's saying that this is not the responsible thing. But now we'll see, right? Yeah. So what if Georgia, in a couple of weeks, maybe their deaths don't increase and maybe there isn't a big change? Then we'll know for the rest of the country. Maybe
back to business.
Of course, the counter to that could be, what if the situation in Georgia gets a lot worse? What if these people die that didn't need to die? And then we will know that. But unfortunately, that these people may have to suffer in order to prove that.
And what's interesting too is that I have people that I know who've had coronavirus symptoms, went to the hospital, were diagnosed without getting a test, saying, we know you have a mild version of coronavirus. But they said, we don't have enough tests to test you.
Right.
So that's the scary thing, is that, we're opening businesses, but we don't have enough testing. So some people that I know have gone out privately and found private testers to get tested because going to a regular hospital, there's not enough tests for them.
And that is one of the things in California, that the markers to allow these things to be back open is to have a lot more tests. That if you don't have the number of tests necessary, you can't open the stuff up again. So it requires a whole lot of tests,
I think what's been confusing is we've also heard a little bit of varying information from some of the medical community. And I know you talk with Dr. Pinsky and Dr. Oz and Dr. Birx. Are they all on the same page or in terms of how to go after this? Where do they stand, at least with the ones that you talk to? Where do they stand on how to attack the coronavirus going forward?
Well, they're not always on the same page, you know. I mean, that's just like you get a bunch of fitness people together. You guys aren't all won't agree on what exactly the best exercise is, right? You get a
Yeah.
bunch of anything, a bunch of political people together. You don't always agree on the same approach. I mean, I think that they all believe that this is a serious disease and should be taken seriously, and that people that are in high risk should really take it seriously. Places like nursing homes, especially vulnerable, older people, especially vulnerable, people with immunosuppressant issues, with immune disease issues, should take it seriously. There's some disagreement on, okay, what about the young and healthy types that really need to work? What should they be doing, and how far should we take this? You know,
Yeah.
there is some debate over this. You know, could the cure be worse than the disease? Meaning, you know, obviously a doctor who's solely focused on coronavirus is going to think, don't have anybody outside ever, and then nobody gets coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. But what about the people that need to work? What about people with other diseases that may not being treated right now because they're told not to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
Undiagnosed stuff, because best medical stuff is usually done preventatively. So
Mhm.
how do you get to that point where it's like, okay, we're comfortable enough with coronavirus that we can start to lessen this stuff so that the rest of it doesn't get worse? Because people are in real economic hardship right now. And of
Yeah.
course, the fitness community hard hit as bad as any,
Yeah.
basically taking you out of your ability to work.
Yeah.
And so it's a real challenge for so many people right now. And that's, I think, part of the discussion. That's what literally how I phrased the question to the mayor of Los Angeles last night. And that's part of sort of what's going on. And I think wide scale around the country, in this week and the next week, you're starting to see a realization that that's a thing to be considered. That we're
Yeah.
moving from just hunker down, coronavirus, let's get through this, to, okay, we need to start thinking about ways to be a little more creative and nuanced about getting out of it.
Yeah, and we had a little bit of potential silver lining, I think, with Dr. Birx, who you recently interviewed. She's saying that it looks like if we have a breakthrough in antigen testing, that could really change the way things look moving forward. The thing with antigen testing, though, is it's not as reliable, but you can at least get the number of tests you need done and the amount of time you need it done if you can get to better reliability. And I think right now, the biomedical advanced group for research and development already has 16 groups out there testing different antigen tests and trying to ramp this up. What did you hear from Dr. Birx regarding this? Is a breakthrough likely, or is that just sort of like, it would be
I
nice?
mean, her basic, I think her basic message to me on that was, we're not quite there yet. You know, we'd like to. We're working on it. It's something that would be great, but we're not quite there yet. There's too many false positives, and it's not completely reliable yet. So that they're funding research, but to sort of base a national reopening based off of that isn't quite there. And the other thing that we don't really know right now is there's thought that, okay, you check this antibody test, it shows that you have the antibodies, which meant that you had it before. You may not even have known the fact that you had it before because you had it without symptoms, you didn't get sick, and now you're cured. Well, what we don't know is, if you've had it before, does that mean you're now immune to having it again?
Yeah,
There's some thought that that's the way it is, that there's other things that act that way,
yeah,
but it's not guaranteed in terms of the research that is true.
yeah,
So it could be great that you've had it before, but what if you end up getting it again? It doesn't really matter.
yeah,
If it is true that you're immune from it, then you would know, okay, I'm good. Like I can go back to work. And that's the thought they're using in Wuhan, China, actually, where this whole thing sort of started.
yeah,
They're now giving out what they call immunity cards. They have a red, green,
Wow.
yellow,
yeah.
like green, I can go to work, or red, I'm not quite ready yet, or yellow, I'm somewhere in
Wow.
between.
But it's
And
deceptive if you can catch
yeah,
it again, though.
and they're using those antibody tests to formulate that. In terms of the policymakers here that I've personally talked to about that, including the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, and Dr. Birx, all of them said it's not quite that simple.
Mhm. Because they don't want to give people a false sense of immunity and then later on find out they're no longer immune.
And well, and if you get there's a lot of false positives. So
Mhm.
what if you are told that you're immune, but you're actually not? You
Yeah,
go out to work and then you get it.
yeah, there you go.
That, you know, that you've now put yourself in even greater risk.
Yeah. And how have you, I guess, been staying mentally and physically on point, navigating this whole thing? Because again, you're reporting the news, but you're living it too. We're all citizens living the news, but you're in it 24/7. So what are you doing for your workouts? I know you started this great thing on Fox doing the evening workouts. So I want to find out some more about that.
Right. So our mutual friend, Jameson Bolt from the Roan community, give a shout out to Jameson and to the Roan folks.
Awesome guy. Awesome guy.
Jameson reached out to me and he said, look, so many of our friends in the fitness community are struggling right now. Wouldn't it be a great way to sort of highlight them and what they're doing? So what we've been doing on our 7 o'clock show with Dr. Drew, which people can watch on TV on Channel 11 Los Angeles, but also streams live on foxla.com/live and the Fox 11 Los Angeles Facebook page at 7 o'clock Pacific every night. So that's 10 o'clock Eastern. We answer questions as well. As every night we've been featuring a different trainer with a different workout move. We've been doing it for about a month now. And it's been kind of fun. And I have them on my Instagram at Elex Michaelson if people want to check out some of the different workout moves there. I've been trying to run. I'm not like a huge runner. That's not usually my thing.
We're forced to now, right?
We've all been sort of forced to become runners, which is interesting. I've been doing some workouts in the park kind of by myself, which is, kind of the only thing I do. I don't have a very big place. I don't have a ton of equipment here. I never thought I really needed it. Some people do. It's great to see some of these people's like home gyms and home workouts. It's like, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But that's just not my reality with like a big space. So I've been fortunate in LA that the weather's pretty good and you can be outside. But I've found that I'm a lot happier when I do go out. But I also feel physically like it's been, I feel like I need more sleep because I'm more stressed and the day is longer and harder. And I feel like when I am running that my lung capacity isn't quite what it used to be. I think that stress may be impacting me a little bit. And I'm eating, desserts a lot more. So that's not helpful either.
Being that you've talked to so many people in healthcare, do you have any gems that maybe the regular public doesn't have access to, or any things that you're doing that maybe the ordinary person isn't doing to protect themselves? Are you taking any supplements, eating any certain types of foods, any ultra red violet ray light?
Honestly, the more I look into that and the more, because I've spent a lot of time and people ask about that every night, the more I realize that is really bullshit.
Yeah.
There is so much bullshit out there.
Yeah.
And it's the simple stuff that really matters, right? I mean, first off, smoking, really bad for this. Smoking is not good for coronavirus because coronavirus is a lung disease. So smoking really hurts your lungs to begin with, and it puts you at a higher risk. So that's one thing. If you want to cut out, if you're a smoker, we're talking cigarettes, vaping, marijuana, the whole thing.
Wait. So you haven't heard the new Nicotine Study?
What's that?
So I just read this morning that, smoking, of course, will exacerbate your symptoms, but they're looking at some data in France where, they have a lot of smokers. The population of smokers is not matching the population of people that come in sick for corona. And they're positing it's possible nicotine might be somehow preventing the virus from entering the cells. So there's some thought, and I think there's one doctor in France who might be trying to use nicotine patches or, getting it ready to try to use nicotine patches to inhibit the coronavirus. So just one of those little things you kind of draw from the ether.
What else I've learned in this process is don't usually trust one doctor in France. I'm getting to I've learned a lot about healthcare in this process. Healthcare is not, I'm a political reporter more than anything else. And I love sports and entertainment. Healthcare has never been my thing. What I've learned is that there's a lot of exciting, shiny objects because everybody's looking for a miracle cure. But in reality, sort of the back to basics approach is what's the best. So what's the best thing is to go out and run and get fresh air. And there's a huge benefit in getting vitamin D in your system and being outside and moving. There's a huge benefit, to drinking water, to eating healthier foods, to getting sleep. I mean, it's not the exciting answer to your question. It's the honest answer to your question, which is spending a lot of time with all of the rest of that stuff is really just a waste of time. And if you do the traditional basic stuff, you're going to get better results. I mean, I don't know why you're asking me. Have you seen this guy's six pack?
I know, right?
I mean, but you get to talk to these experts. So we're wondering, like, would the experts say, hey, try some vitamin D? We've heard of vitamin D. We've heard high vitamin C. So we've heard all these little things. So we're always trying to figure out.
Vitamin D, they say vitamin D and vitamin C are helpful no matter what. In the world of coronavirus or not the world of coronavirus, it's probably good for you to have it. But is that going to mean that you're not getting coronavirus? Probably not.
Yeah. Now, I got to ask you, so you've interviewed Trump, Clinton, Biden, you've interviewed them all.
Yeah.
Of all the presidents, past presidents, and presidential candidates, who would you most have a beer with after the interview?
Who do you most want to have dinner with after the interview?
Beer.
Yeah. A beer, dinner. Beer. Yeah, beer. Either is fine.
God, I don't know. I mean, I haven't interviewed Barack Obama. He's the one that I haven't interviewed. So I would be especially interested to talk with him.
He doesn't count. He doesn't count. Of the ones you've interviewed, who would you say, hey, let's also have dinner? We have more to talk about.
I mean, look, they're all interesting. I mean, I think Bill Clinton is an especially great storyteller from what I hear. And I think he would be really interesting dinner company to talk. But the reality is, honestly, the honest reality is that these guys don't get to that level, even the ones you may not like, if they don't have a certain degree of charisma and a certain a large degree, not a certain degree, a large degree of charisma, and that they are not the kind of people that you find interesting and enjoyable in a room anyways. So even Donald Trump, who I'm sure you, or I don't know what you think, but you probably don't agree with politically, I don't know. And he can be a very charming guy in person who can be fun and interesting.
Well, he had his own TV show because of that,
Right. So he's like an interesting person to be around. Of the current crop of well, they're no longer current crop of Democratic candidates. The one that I really enjoyed being around the most, I thought it was really fun and interesting, was Andrew Yang. And Andrew Yang is going to be on my political show this week.
Oh, really?
I just reached out to him this morning. So I host a show called The Issue Is, which airs in every market in California, all different times. TheIssueIsShow.com is a website that tells about it. Fridays at 10:30 in Los Angeles. But Andrew Yang's going to be on talk about. He's in the news this week. He released a PSA yesterday about the discrimination against Asians during this time. They got over 2 million views in less than 24 hours. He's also talked a lot about universal basic income, this idea of $1,000 a month, which is kind of like happening now.
Yeah, it doesn't look so crazy anymore.
Everybody said he was kind of like a joke. They thought, and now it's actually the policy. So it'd be interesting to talk to him. But he talks like a real human being. I really liked that. I liked Pete Buttigieg a lot as a guy. We got along well. But I mean, all of them are fun in different ways. Cory Booker was fun. Beto O'Rourke was really fun. I mean, most of them I found ways to get along. Bernie Sanders was interesting in his own sort of grumpy way.
I was going to say, was he a fun interview? That was the one I was interested in, because we talked about the charisma, but he seems to be one of those that maybe didn't have that. Does he have that charisma?
I think you have to get him, So like, here's the thing about Bernie. Some of those guys are like super warm and effervescent, and they try to make you feel comfortable. Like Bernie's deal is, I'm Bernie, I am who I am, and if you can't cut it, get the F out of my way. So if you come to Bernie and you ask about policy stuff that he's interested in, and you dive deep into the world of the Medicare and other things that he wants to talk about, and then you treat him with respect and you don't antagonize him, you don't ask a bunch of, horse race questions, he'll grow to like you. I mean, he did more interviews with me than any other journalist in California. Like, we ended up having a good dynamic because I figured out kind of what Bernie liked, and we got along, and I actually got to start to see a sense of humor from him. I said, what is your biggest misconception about you? And he said, I actually am a funny person. And we did have fun on different occasions. It was just, you had to kind of work for it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see Yang back, because one of the things is you get these nominees and you start to fall in love with them, and then they disappear. So it's nice that we'll see him on your show.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should be fun.
Awesome. We have a little segment that we call Fit Club 5.
Okay.
Where we ask you 5 rapid fire questions, and you
I
give
love
us
it.
the first topic, the first answer that comes to your head.
Okay, I do that on my show too.
Oh, nice.
I call it personal issues on the issue. Yeah.
I like it. Last person you texted.
My mom,
Your dream dinner guest, alive or dead?
Barack Obama.
Nice. The last meal you ate.
I had sushi from Bristol Farms 15 minutes ago.
Nice. Favorite junk food.
Oh, I mean, In-N-Out, double cheeseburger, and then the animal style fries.
I'll tell you, probably have to wait in a long line for that. And if you were on death row, what would be your last meal?
My mom's chicken parmesan. It's really, really good. And she also makes cookies and brownies, which she makes every week for our guests on The Issue Is. She'll come, she stops by our station because she lives near the station. We'll drop off cookies and brownies for our guests. We put them in the green room, and most of our guests say that's the only reason they actually come on the show. They don't really care about me. They don't care about the show. They just want their fix of those cookies and brownies. So those are really great.
You're our first guest to bring up the homemade food for the last meal.
Oh, what do most people say?
They have their, the glory meals from this place or that restaurant, but you like the homemade. I like that.
Well, I mean, you can never say anything bad about your mother.
Exactly. Oh man, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything more that we should know publicly about Corona, especially LA, nationwide? What should we know going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think people should take this seriously and take the warnings seriously. The worst thing that you could possibly imagine is being asymptomatic on this. And even if you are young and healthy and fit, as I'm sure most of your viewers probably are, you may have this and then give it to somebody else who isn't so young and healthy and fit, who then, could die from this. I mean, this is a real thing. So even if you are not that concerned about your own personal safety, or you think that you're going to be okay with this, you got to think of this as part of your responsibility as a citizen. Think about your grandparents. Think about your aunts and uncles or people in your life that you would not want to lose that may have some pre-existing conditions, and think about doing this and being responsible as a way to protect them, just like you would want other people to do that in order to protect the people that you love. So that's what I would say is really important for everybody to think about as sort of we all get through this together, and do your best to try to figure out places where you're getting good information that can be solid, and have an informed conversation about all of it.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate it. This was huge for us, for the viewers, everyone listening. I think this is great information.
Thank you very much, and keep up the good work. And what I want to know at the end of this is, how do I get a six-pack like you?
Well, I watch 7 o'clock every evening. And I make sure I get the workout that you guys have.
Okay, there you go.
It's the workouts. Fallon, where can they find you online?
Okay, so you can follow at Elex Michaelson. It's Elex with an E, not with an A. ELEX MICHAELSON on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that. I'm still trying to figure out the TikTok thing, but we'll get there.
We got a little bit of time left. So, Fallon, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at fitwithfallon.com or at fitwithfallon across all social media platforms.
You guys can find me at SHAKA Strong on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. We'll see you guys next week. Bye guys.